They are live, and we are live tonight from Manchester, New Hampshire. Even though behind us is Washington D.C., maybe we'll put a Manchester, New Hampshire one behind us before we leave.
Right.
So it's very, very, it's very annoying personally to me. And I take it personally. I am an American. I mean, I've been involved in this government for years. That there would be any discussion or debate about whether NATO countries, any NATO country, would help us if we asked them to assist in keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I don't understand it. I don't understand who the hell they think they are, and who they think has been paying their bills for years, and who they think liberated them and kept them free for so long. I mean, families in America can't even calculate the losses they have undertaken in order to keep Europe free, and how little Europe has done for America, other than to come here and be immigrants and get very rich and powerful and famous and enjoy America and contribute to us tremendously. I mean, no one's upset about that, but not as if they came here and died for us. We went over there and died for them. Hundreds of thousands of us did it. You may be in a you probably are in a family. There are very few families in America that's been here of any lengthy period of time that haven't been affected by it in some way. And we did it out of our dedication to freedom and democracy and decency and
right.
And I guess they're not all that way, but you look at this slime ball.
Right.
There's something wrong with him. Keir
Starmer. Let's see.
He looks like a delicate little flower asshole to me.
Yeah, let's. Well, the president will play some clips here shortly, but he's made a big deal today about the fact that a number of our NATO allies have not been willing to come to our defense. Germany has indicated it will not participate.
I am shocked that Germany won't participate.
Germany's foreign defense minister Boris Pistorius said, "This is not our war. We did not start it." Top officials in Japan, Italy, and Australia also said that their countries would not participate in efforts to reopen the strait. The EU,
Japan and Italy. That is a blow.
Non-committal responses from France, South Korea, and Britain. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said his country would not be drawn into wider war.
Well, I mean, his country is becoming a Muslim country, so I understand it. France is becoming a Muslim country. I understand what the hell's going on with Japan and Italy and
Japan is also non-committal. So let's see we got some words from.
What's going on with them?
Let's see if we can get. Here's Keir Starmer, what he had to say on the matter. Very non-committal.
Well, Starmer is a real sellout to Muslims.
Right.
I mean, he's scared. Oh, look, he looks like a jackass, doesn't he?
He does. You want to hear him?
Yeah, of course, just to say.
Because moments like this also tell you about leadership. Whether to commit British troops to military action is the most serious responsibility for any Prime Minister. I have been attacked by some for my decision not to join the offensive against Iran. But at every stage, I've stood by my principles which I held just as strongly when it came to debate about the Iraq War in 2003. principles which I believe are
What are they?
shared by the British people, that our decision should be based on a calm, level-headed assessment of the British national interest, and that if we are to send our servicemen and women into harm's way, the very least they deserve is to know that they do so on a legal basis and with a proper, thought-through plan. Now, there are others who would have made a different decision 2 weeks ago. They would have rushed the UK headlong into this war without the full picture of what they're sending our forces into and without a plan to get us out. That is not leading, it's following. My leadership is about standing firm for the British interest. No.
Well, that's.
I mean, here, let's start off with without any just headstrong running right into it. This is going on for 47 years, jackass. 47 years they've been killing people, including English people and American people. 47 years of terrorism, 47 years of Muslim terrorism. Maybe what you're really afraid of is you looked at last year and the most common name in England was Mohammed, and you're getting worried that they're going to throw you out of office because on every other level you stink as a prime minister. I mean, you're a horrible prime minister. When they say, you know, he's no Churchill. Jesus, he may not even be a Chamberlain. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're giving your country away to the Muslims, and you're scared. I wonder what the contents of your underwear was while you were doing that, you little shit. No plan. There's no plan. There's a plan. The plan is a non-nuclear Iran. You get that, pal? Non-nuclear Iran. Now, right now, the bombs they have, jackass, reach Great Britain, not the United States. It's almost as if, why the hell are we doing this? Well, only because they're eventually going to reach the United States. But right now, as far as we can tell, the longest extent of their missiles, which after all, you need the missiles to deliver the atomic weapons, would get to, maybe they won't even get to Great Britain yet, but that's pretty soon. And they really don't like you. You see what they're doing to their Arab friends? They're using you. But that's okay. I mean, you got a long history of that there in England with Chamberlain and people like that. Got to be that Churchill's turning over at his grave looking at you. Just what a useless. And then I expected you to do this, but not Italy and Germany and Japan. What's going on there? What's our friend Maloney doing?
Yeah, let's.
And what about the tough prime minister in Japan? I mean, she's tough. She's tougher than John Wayne.
Right.
What's she scared of?
Here's the president with some more comments regarding NATO.
So, those things are very disappointing. And you have to remember, we have 45,000 troops in Japan. We have 45,000 troops in South Korea. We have 45,000, 50,000 troops in Germany. We defend all these countries. And then, do you have any minesweepers? And they say, well, would it be possible for us not to get involved? I've been saying it for a long time. I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won. So, those things are very disappointing. You have to remember, we have 45,000 troops in Japan. We have 45,000 troops in South Korea. We have 45,000, 50,000.
He just named it. Germany, Japan. 40-something thousand Americans there.
I remember in the first administration, he was meeting with his friend Abe, and he said something very profound. And Abe was affected by it, and he made changes based on it. But these people are not Abe. He said to Abe, I mean, we have a treaty in which if you're attacked by China or North Korea, we have to go to war for you, even use nuclear weapons if we have to.
Right.
But if we're attacked by China or North Korea, you don't. And Abe said, well, that's correct. He said, it doesn't seem right to me.
Right.
Isn't that the genius of this man and why he's such a great president? Because all of the great foreign policy graduates of the Marxist colleges in America, which are the Ivy League schools, weren't able to figure that out. And somehow, without thinking, got us into a situation in which we're expending billions of dollars, American lives, at stake, but we don't get any protection from it. None. Instead, if we are attacked, we have to go begging them to help us. And it sounds like they're not going to help us. I mean, this is not even a big ask.
Yeah.
We're not exactly asking to get involved like in a big.
Right.
Between Israel and the United States, we've completely devastated this place without their help.
Right.
This is, and in the case of a couple of these places like Japan and whatever, I mean, this is where they get their oil. They just want to make sure we do it for them. And in the case of England, I mean, England really owes the Iranian people to do this for them. They've been one of the primary causes of this problem in Iran is Great Britain. Going back to the time that they, the years and years and years and years and years and years and years in which they stole Iranian oil and raped the people of Iran. And we didn't. We went in the 50s through the CIA because of a distorted view of the communist threat. Not that the communist threat wasn't great, it was, but it wasn't there. The British went in for, what I guess had been moving the British Empire for a very, very long time, their essential corruption and their willingness to rape countries in order to take their patrimony so the British could have, because Britain, after all, is a tiny little island with pretty much bupkis, right? They don't have the vast natural resources that the continent has. They don't have the vast natural resources that we have, or Russia, so they've had to be thieves in order to create their empire as colonizers and thieves. Well, we know that. We had to throw them out, right? This is, I would think there'd be American presidents. This would include Kennedy and Reagan. Maybe not. Maybe they were much more realistic than. But I mean, there's a period of time in my life where I could not have conceived that Great Britain would turn us down.
It's wild.
I considered them allies at the same level of Israel.
You historically, I mean,
and I think when Ronald Reagan was saying his sort of analysis that he always used about the relationship with Israel, he would say that people have very, very few good friends in life, and when they do, they have to stick with them. Nations have very few good friends. We have like England and Israel. So boom, drop out one of them. We still have Israel, thank God. They don't say no. Which is why we shouldn't say no to them. Absolutely not. So we were talking before about these large numbers of Muslim attacks that are now hitting us, and we're going to have to face up to put them together. This is not isolated. We've had 4 major attacks based on trying to force the Muslim religion on us and to destroy us as a Christian or Jewish nation, or to destroy both religions. And they do it all over the world. I mean, all over Africa, the wars are 80% of the wars are Muslims killing Christians, because Christianity is spreading like wildfire in Africa. It's spreading in Iran too. So there's going to have to be an awful lot of organization done here in order to make our world safe, in order to save Western civilization, which is critical to a peaceful world. We find out now that Ayman Ghazali, who was the attacker in Michigan, right?
Yep.
That his family is extraordinarily tied in to Hezbollah family. Let's put it that way. I would like to point out to you that one of the first things after they withheld his name for quite some time that they told us about it was, poor Ayman. His family had just been killed by the Israelis. It was kind of like his family was, murdered by a serial killer. And he was really traumatized by it. And that's why he went ahead and tried to kill all those children at the temple in Israel. Poor Ayman.
Now,
in fact,
he might have been a Hezbollah commander.
well, his brother.
That's him.
No, that's his brother.
Okay.
His brother was a Hezbollah commander.
Holy smokes.
His brother was a Hezbollah commander. That's why he was killed. His whole family lives in a Hezbollah compound, and he's Hezbollah. In other words, he's a terrorist. And we're crying tears for him. And he was going into his school with a bus or a truck, drove in to kill Jewish children. And everybody's crying tears for this bastard. It's absolutely outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous.
Right.
The guy's family is Hezbollah. No sympathy that they were killed. They were killed because they are terrorist murderers. And his brother was a commander terrorist murderer. And that's why he was going to go murder Jewish children. Not probably, because he was brought up to hate the Jewish people, as were most of the people who live in that area of the world who are Muslim. And that's what the religion tells them to do,
right?
To hate Jewish people. When they go pray, that's what they're praying about. They're praying about hating Jewish people. That's what it says. And the religion has very, very little in it about being kind to your neighbor and thou shalt not kill. And
right.
In fact, it is a very, very legitimate question. Is it a religion at all? Or is it or is the Quran a handbook on how to spread your ideology by death and destruction? And I wouldn't call it I don't see it. Allah was a pagan god that he's spreading. And really, if you read the Quran carefully, he's not spreading it for Allah. He's spreading it from Muhammad. Muhammad's the God, not him. Now, for 47 years, we've known about the evil of this. Whether you understand the evil of the Quran or not, or are willing to accept it, or are willing to spend time studying it, I don't think there were very few people who escaped the evil of the reign of terror.
Right.
Because, I mean, it first hit people when they took the hostages and kept them for so long and humiliated them and humiliated Jimmy Carter and then killed our Marines. And the fact that they've been the biggest state sponsor of terrorism has been well known. Now, I don't know much about Joy Reid, except she comes up all the time with the most outrageously anti-American, anti-humanistic, anti-Christian, anti-everything statements I've ever heard. I don't know if she does this to get ratings, or she does it because she's a terrible person, or she does it because she's as dumb as a skunk. But I really don't care anymore. I think I should just throw her out. Listen to this statement. This statement is so ignorant, or whatever else it is.
So this is Joy Reid.
And she's on CNN, is that right?
She was on MS Now. She might have been thrown off.
But where is she now? I mean, is she anywhere?
Right. Well, let's watch this clip from her
She's a hater. I mean, boy, she's filled with hate. Woo.
podcast.
Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away. Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states, some states where they're trying to have the death penalty for having an abortion. They also oppress women. They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences. We're marginally better. And we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't get told those things because it would take away the kind of American exceptional.
Single thing that she talked about that has to do with Christianity, by the way. It's all politics. I mean, and first of all, most of it's all wrong. But in any event, it has nothing to do with Christianity. Right. I mean, Jesus didn't teach us to do those things. The things you can talk about the Muslim religion, Muhammad taught them to do. Well, let's go. But what? So the point. Do you know anything about her? I mean, is she again the question? Is she an evil person? Is she? And if she's all she's trying to do, like, is get ratings and whatever, then she's an evil person. Or is she a really stupid person who is not prepared anywhere for any kind of a job like this because she's ignorant and can't read?
Right. And let's find out if she was thrown off MS Now.
Does she have
a hard thing to do?
Does she have like an educational background? But I mean, would that matter anymore? It wouldn't matter anymore because I don't know what they teach, and I don't know if they learn anything, if they pass exams or.
Yep. She left MSNBC earlier last year.
She left, or she was. Oh,
right.
The C chord he put in here is not working.
Her departure.
Isn't that terrible?
Let me get you one.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So, she's independent now.
She's independent.
She's an independent media host and content.
So what was that I was watching? Is that a podcast of some kind?
Yeah, she must have been interviewed by. That's a clip.
So people interview this.
Yeah, somebody interviewed her. We haven't.
But here's the point, Ted. We gotta. Maybe we don't have to. We don't have to do it now, but we have to do this. I gotta figure this out. You can look at a background. You can tell a little. Yeah. I mean, those are extraordinarily ignorant things to say.
Right.
Now you could say those because you're a very mean, vicious person and really support this ideology, or you could say it because you're one big stupid jerk.
She was raised in Denver and moved to Brooklyn. She graduated from Harvard in 1991.
That might mean nothing.
With a concentration in film studies.
Oh, film, they have such a thing as film studies at Harvard?
Right.
I mean, it's been a long time since Harvard's really been a school, I guess. Boy, I should get my money back.
She left She was in journalism up until 2003. She was in South Florida out of Miami, where she was working. She left journalism in 2003.
To do what?
to become an activist with a group called America Coming Together to oppose the Iraq War and George Bush.
Oh, so she's been a professional.
She also worked on Obama's campaign. Well, this is interesting, right? She went to the activist route.
So she worked for Prince.
She worked for Prince Obama in 2008.
Otherwise known as Barack Hussein Obama.
Her first show on MSNBC.
Or Barry Obama.
Barry O. She started on MSNBC in 2014, hosting the Reid Report, which was canceled. And then she went over to be an MSNBC national correspondent. And that's right. And so then.
So is that where she made most of her outrageously stupid statements that used to get played on television?
Right. And she, so her rise at MSNBC kind of went along with President Trump's announcement to run for president. And she really did kind of make her, she really made her whole shtick being anti-Trump and obviously playing the race card and the woman card.
Can we listen to her analysis that should actually lead to being thrown out of the United States?
Right. You want to play that again?
Yeah. No, not that one. The one where she says that the United States is no better than Iran.
Yeah, let's try. I've been looking for that specific cut. And people have been playing this one, but we'll keep looking.
No, they've been playing the other one too. If you can find it. It's an extraordinary statement to say that the U.S. is no better than Iran when you think of the history of Iran since in its 47 years. And when I say Iran, I don't mean the people or the country. I mean the Islamic takeover of Iran.
Right. So we're going to keep looking for that.
I wonder if this activist has any idea that Islam has done more damage to the black people than any ism of any kind in the world. That the largest slave traders and the longest slave traders were the Islamics. Right. They completely raped Africa. They started it. 700-800 years before Europe. They continued it 200 years more. And they were considerably more brutal. And they hate black people. That's why black Muslims, it was always a very strangest thing that blacks chose the Muslim religion because the Muslims, there actually, I think, were attempts at genocide.
I agree. It is crazy. So we're still looking for it, man.
Well, they're still looking for it. I have to say that there's got to come a day when Fetterman just leaves the Democratic Party. I mean, there's nothing left. There's nothing left for Fetterman. So Fetterman was on one of the dumb shows, one of the dumb communist shows.
Fetterman.
He was on Sunday.
Let's see if we can find it.
And he said that he doesn't understand how the Democrats aren't supporting this war against Iran because even Kamala Harris, when she ran for president just a short while ago, identified Iran as her top international concern.
Yep. That's right.
And she called Iran America's greatest adversary. So how can you object to a president that has broken their nuclear apparatus and is now trying very, very hard to destroy their ability to support terrorism, where they are the biggest nation state supporter of terrorism, and continue their own terrorist activities. This used to be the position of their party.
So
meanwhile, now they oppose it, and they have shut down the Department of Homeland Security at a time when we're getting one after another of these terrorist attacks on this country, and it looks like we're not prepared for some of them. Now, there's an article here about the FBI, and has the FBI been straightened out or hasn't it been straightened out? But we also we don't have half of our resources operating for us.
That's right. Well, here's Fetterman with Caitlin Collins just the other day, and I think it'll hit some of the points that you've been bringing up.
The president said today that he views this both as a war and an excursion. When you talk to people in Pennsylvania, do they view this as an excursion?
I would see this as us achieving a critical goal, that I would remind people that whether it's Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris all agree we should never allow anyone to acquire a nuclear bomb. I would challenge any single member of the Democratic in the House. Are you okay with Iran acquiring a nuclear bomb? I don't think anyone is okay with that. And now Trump made that now virtually impossible. I can say I would describe that an incredibly positive development, something that we all Democrats support, or we all wanted to have those things.
But I think some people may take issue with the term excursion that the president has used, given U.S. forces have died as a result of this. How do you see that term?
I'm not getting into semantics. Call it what it is. I would call it as thus far incredibly successful, and that's very compatible with every of the wishes and so the concerns of the Democratic presidential candidates, and now anyone that's serving in Congress, here in Pennsylvania or in any state in our country. And if you're aware of a House representative or a senator that's okay with that, I would love to just talk to them why it's okay that if Iran would acquire a nuclear bomb.
What's wrong with her? You know her. What's wrong?
You, Caitlin.
I mean, that's focusing on a word. Maybe it was a poor choice of words, excursion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obvious what he meant.
Right.
I mean, it's obvious what the president meant, and his actions are a lot more overwhelming and powerful than a word. So what's the point? Just to make trouble?
Mm-hmm. Well, their producers, they probably listen to Trump.
But haven't
every
they
word he
learned that
says.
nobody listens to them?
Right, but they keep doing the same damn thing. They're like, oh, he just said excursion. And I bet you somebody behind the scenes is rushing that to the news desk. And like, all right, we're gonna get somebody.
But what's
on.
wrong with her? I mean, what? Why does she keep doing it? I mean, he beat the shit out of her when she showed up to do that. I mean, she helped elect him president. I guess we should
Send her some flowers.
we should thank her because she was so ill-informed and so ahistorical.
Absolutely.
Well, Cubans are protesting against the communist regime supported heavily by Hollywood. Notice I am not saying anything about the Academy Awards because I just recognized today when I looked at the newspaper that it was going on last night.
Right, Mayor.
Nor do I give a damn who won, lost, didn't win, didn't lose, or what stupid, idiotic things they said, because they are meaningless. And Hollywood hasn't made a good movie in so long that
Isn't that funny? We didn't mention it once.
I haven't been inside a movie theater now. A year and a half. And then before that, a year. And nor do I have any desire to go. And when I watch movies, I go back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years to watch movies. Movies now are all about freaks.
Right.
Nobody's normal anymore.
Mm-hmm. And you wonder.
Once when I was running for office, Bob Grant, who was a right-wing radio guy who he used to shock all the left-wingers. He said, I think Giuliani will get elected because he's the only normal candidate.
I like that.
He represents normal people.
Right. That's just
What's that?
B-roll from the Oscars I was going to put up while you talk about it.
What are they doing?
Hugging.
Is there a reason?
It's Michael B. Jordan hugging, I believe, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Michael Jordan, the basketball player?
Yes.
What the hell?
No, Michael B. Jordan. It's an actor.
Oh, I was wondering what Michael Jordan was doing. And who is he hugging? Seems like they like each other.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, little Leonard. What is Leonard, about 5'2", 5'3"?
He's a short little guy.
He really is a little. That's why he could stand on that thing on the Titanic.
That's what they say.
If he like was the size of a real man, he wouldn't have been able to. Right.
Right. Well, he should have been able to get on there. Because
Isn't it true? Isn't it true that if you're small like that, is it true they have a small penis?
Sometimes I'm not sure if
No, you're not sure.
I'm not sure that height and size are direct
So
correlation.
why does a guy like that a normal woman wouldn't be able to go out with because she towers over him? Why would he become like the sex symbol that he is?
Good question. I guess
What do
height
they
doesn't come across on TV.
I guess they put him in lifts and stuff. Right?
Yeah, and height doesn't come across on TV always.
Right. Nor does character
Yeah,
or
clearly,
integrity.
especially in Hollywood. Oh my God.
So they all supported. The reason I thought about it is they all supported Castro. I mean, they were all going down there supporting Castro, and it reminds me of this gay stuff now too. Castro hated gay people. Castro hated homosexuals. Castro put homosexuals in jail. Castro put people in jail who had AIDS. That was his original approach to AIDS was let's isolate them and stick them in camps.
Yeah.
And then he backed off it because he was losing all his Hollywood friends. But his original instinct was, at least he didn't, homosexuals, he actually thought there should be the death penalty for homosexuals.
Well, here's President Trump on Cuba today.
It's just with a fantastic person who's Cuban and made a fortune in sugar. Fanjul family, right? And his family wants to go back to Cuba to visit it. They haven't been back in like 50 years or something. They come.
Isn't it funny? I just
largely come from Cuba.
just had dinner with them last week.
And we'll see what happens. They were asking me about that. They want to go back. Not only Fanjul, a lot of Cubans have said, "Oh boy, would they love to go back." I think Cuba, in its own way, if tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change. They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's see the end. All my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. Castro was a very violent leader. His brother's a very violent leader. Extremely violent. That's how they governed. They governed with violence.
I mean, there's no question about that. And they got away with it because he charmed Hollywood to a very large extent and charmed the left wing. Che Guevara was actually like a hero. They'd have shirts. Che Guevara was a mass murderer, an insane murderer. Castro was an insane murderer, a terrible dictator, an enormously wealthy man, a complete phony of a communist or socialist or whatever the hell he claimed to be. And the Cuban people are now beginning, and remember, this is really hard for them because Castro's been there for several generations. So these people were brought up. I mean, Cuba had probably the biggest per capita brain drain of any country, probably maybe even more than Venezuela. And Venezuela had a pretty big one also. Meaning many of the better educated or people with the most potential left and became remarkably successful in the United States. The Cuban migration is, one of the high points of American immigration. It's a perfect example of how it works best, where people come here fleeing oppression, fleeing fascism, communism, and work really hard and create tremendous opportunity for themselves. Fanjul family, which he was talking about, is of course a great example of that. But There are so many, so many. I know the community really, really well. I've known it for quite some time, going back to 1981. And the admiration I have for that community is second to none. I mean, they came to America, and it didn't take a generation, it didn't take 2 generations, right away, right away. One business after another. If the first one didn't work, the second one worked. Get an education, be an American, be a loyal American. Embrace the wonderful things about America, which is the reason why you left Cuba, instead of being, like a scoundrel traitor like this Elon Omar, who marries her brother to get in, and then hates America, complains about America constantly. If immigrants followed the Cuban model, we'd all be we'd embrace it. We need it. And the Cubans, you could put right up at the top. And if they can get their island back, wow, that'd be great. It'd be just great. Now, there's going to have to be a lot of work done, because, and I am now repeating to you what Cuban Americans tell me, including the family he spoke of and many, many others. The Cuba they left is not the Cuba that's there now. The Cuba they left was abandoned. They were thrown out. If you didn't leave, he killed you. So many of the most talented and the people with the most potential left. And not just that, the people, it's hard to say, did the people who stay behind have less potential than the people who left? Or is it the fact that the people who left had the opportunity of freedom and democracy and capitalism, and the people who stayed behind were under atheistic communism, and therefore had no chance to succeed? Because you don't. They were crushed by the communist brothers, who also were terrible criminals, and used it to become fabulously wealthy and live a life of luxury. And meanwhile, the island just shrunk, and whatever money it did have were either stolen by the Castros and their criminal enterprise, or it was used for defense. Or for offense all over the world, including in Africa. So the point is, when they're overthrown, and they are effectively overthrown right now, there really is no functioning government right now in Cuba. Who is ready to govern them, and who is ready to enrich them, and who is ready to develop them, and who is... And that's hard to say. I don't know that it can emerge from within. Right. And whereas the Cuban Americans I know want to go back, they really don't want to go back and live there anymore. They're Americans now. And just like, how many Italians would go back to Italy, or how many Irish people would go back to Ireland, and how many, Ireland right now has become nutty. Who that would go back? Who would go back to Britain? I wouldn't. If I were British and I got out of there and I was in the U.S., I'm going to go back to a Muslim country? Yeah. What am I crazy? I'm going to go back to a country and have to name my kid Mohammed and live by Sharia law? Absurd. Well, the SAVE Act is going to we talked on the other show a bit with Kara about the SAVE Act. This is a very, very interesting debate that's going to go on. Kara is more sanguine about it than I am. It's just not going to. I don't. How does it get 60 votes? I don't see it. It should.
Right now, we don't. You're right, Mayor.
This is another one of those things that blows the mind completely. This should be a law that goes through. When you have anywhere from 60 to 80% of the American people with large numbers on both sides of the aisle that favor photo ID and citizenship in order to vote, it should sail right through. And these specious arguments that are being raised about, oh, it's so hard to get an identification, when 98 to 99% of Black people have identification already. Oh, it's so hard to get proof of citizenship. 98 to 99% of Hispanic and Black people have proof of citizenship already. And whenever you go interview them, they laugh at you and they get angry at you and they say, what are you, a racist? You don't think we have this? Now, their political party, with the exception of Fetterman, is uniformly against them. When you take blacks, the Hispanics, Republicans are like 90% in favor, and Democrats are 80% in favor.
Right.
What it means is, and this is now on you as Democrats. There are things that I would say are on Republicans that this is your fault. Same thing with the poor education of your children. It's your fault. You are electing people who fundamentally disagree with what you want. Now, how the hell is a democracy going to work if you are too lazy to take the time to figure out what your representative is voting for? And on something that is, I imagine, of critical importance to you, what could be more important than the right to vote? Or what could be more important than your child's education? Because the same numbers almost exist on that. Somewhere around 70% to 70 to 80% of Democrat voters favor extrication from the public school system, in essence, freedom from the public school system. They favor vouchers, they favor scholarships, they favor choice in education, they favor anything that'll get them out of the clutches of the teachers union, who they realize gives their children a terrible education. So they're in favor of it. For years now, 30 years. However, they elect year after year, every 2 years, members of Congress who oppose them completely on this issue. And who oppose them for the worst of all reasons, corruption. They oppose them because this is the way they get money from the teachers union. How long is that going to last? When does the mind start to operate? We want our kids to get a better education. We think competition in education will do that. We think we should have vouchers so that kids can go to parochial schools, or they can go to private schools, or they can go to better schools, or they can go to charter schools, or anything better. We want that. And their politicians know it and vote against it because they're getting the dough, they're getting the money. It's as simple as that. I don't know what you do to change it other than to make the connection. Let's take a short break so we can sell our stuff that you got to do. But more than just sell it, you got to make your contribution to T2T.org right now. Come on, this is the time to do it.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
I put my, I just want you to notice, I'm getting ready for tomorrow. I'm getting ready for tomorrow. When I will wake up and say top of the morning to everyone that I see.
There it is.
And my little Irish thing here. I'm Italian. I'm Italian American. However, I was Italian American second or my third. I always get wrong. My grandfathers and grandmothers were born in Italy. My parents were born in the United States of America, and I was born in the United States of America. I think that makes me second generation, correct? Not third. But a third would be, well, because, yes, the first generation to be born in America were my parents. The second generation was me. My children are third generation.
Yes.
Andrew and Caroline. Now,
Your parents were first generation.
yeah.
So first
Now,
generation, the first one's born here.
yeah. Now, my children are,
Third generation.
yeah, but they are on their mom's side. They are many things.
Yes.
My children share Andrew and Caroline are part Irish, part French, part Czech. I think that's it. Oh, French. Did I say French?
You did not. Okay, now you did.
Yeah, yep. So they got all that, and then they're half Italian, which makes them all Italian because the 50% Italian just kind of, it isn't like you got one like French or one thing or Irish or my godchildren, Peter Power's children, are half Irish and half Italian. What a great combination, by the way. So why do I celebrate St. Patrick's Day the way I do? Well, one, I'm a Catholic, so that would be one of the reasons. St. Patrick is one of the great saints of the Catholic Church who brought Catholicism to one of its strongest defenders, the little country of Ireland, which is one of its strongest defenders. But also because I grew up going to Catholic school at a time in which the Catholic schools were dominated by Irish priests and nuns. Maybe I one or two Italian-American nuns, Polish-American nuns, but they mostly were all Irish Catholics. I'm a fan of Notre Dame as a result of that. I started learning about Notre Dame about the time that I started learning about the Yankees. And I liked it. I liked the culture and the group of people, and which is the same reason I'm half Jewish, because the other third of my friends were Jewish. And I like them. I like their culture. And so I learned all the Irish traditions and all the Irish songs, and I love Irish songs. I used to love marching in the parade or going to the parade. When I was mayor, I used to march the parade 3, 4, and 5 times. I mean, it was like I could abuse it. I mean, when I was not the mayor, I had to march one time. Particularly was like in Manhattan College in the ROTC. We had to march. But then when I became mayor, I kind of run the parade. I would march originally with the police department. Then I would march with the fire department. Then I would march with the sanitation department. Then I'd march with whatever else would have me. I'd march with my college, Manhattan College. I'd go find them. I'd do 8-10 blocks with them. I just would have a great day. And then I would give a party every morning at Gracie Mansion before everybody left for the parade. And my neighbors would go nuts because at 7 o'clock in the morning, they'd start playing the bagpipes right in that area where those Islamic bums tried to blow things up. So it's going to be, we will have a little special on St. Patrick tomorrow night. And on the history of it. And I just watched another new documentary on St. Patrick. It's part of the, oh, it's so nice. It was done by Martin Scorsese, a true Italian, on St. Patrick. And all my Irish friends should know this. Could be that St. Patrick was Italian. He was a Roman citizen. Look to me like in the documentary, his mother and father looked to me like they came from Italy, from Rome over to England, and then he got captured. And we'll go through the whole story tomorrow. It's all connected together. It's all connected together. The Celts are all over the place. All over the place. Every once in a while, you run around Sicily and you see this girl with all red hair, and she looks like she's Irish. Well, because the Celts captured Sicily for a while. Now, the guy is in a really tough spot here, Ted, and I want to have my geniuses here. So I want to make them work because they've been having too much fun, Ted and Rob. And so what kind of problem, why don't you take your microphone and share it? I don't know.
Share it only, yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll do if you have time to put it together, because it could take me a little to introduce this. So the SAVE Act raises, a couple of really, really interesting policy issues. And if I were a teacher of political science, I'd spend a lot of time on this in class because I think it illustrates a lot. I think it illustrates a lot of things about our system. So the SAVE Act is an act that is intended to fix what went wrong with the 2020 election. Now, I think I can't tell what the Wall Street Journal is in favor of the SAVE Act in the sense that they're in favor of people should identify themselves when they vote. They get a little hinky on whether they have to prove that they're citizens because it might be too difficult. A little hinky. I think they're still in favor of that. But they are also very much in favor of keeping the 60 vote margin to prevent filibusters. Now, so you have all these things involved here, right? The Democrats oppose identifying yourself at all in order to vote, like photo ID. They definitely oppose having to prove you're a citizen because it's too hard. But is it really because it's too hard? Like hell. They let them all in. They do it because that it would ruin all of the efforts they made to let all the illegals come in. Because then they couldn't vote, because that's why they let them in.
Right.
And that's the best reason they let them in. The ones tied up with the illegal groups are different. But the best ones let them in so they could cheat in voting. And when they say, I was reading the paper very early this morning because, and I will explain to you later, this was kind of a tragic day for us. And I noticed every time they mention the 2020 election, they say President Trump falsely asserted that the 2020 election was fixed, or it was questioned. Or I don't know how much proof there has to be coming out of Georgia and Michigan and Wisconsin and now Arizona that the election was fixed, so that at least you'd have to say that arguably he could be correct. I mean, he is correct. I know he's correct. Right. But I don't know how you can editorialize in the middle of a news article and say that it's false. It hasn't been definitively proved to be false. You say, oh, the courts never ruled on it. Well, the courts never ruled on it because they turned it down for the most specious, intellectually dishonest reasons that ever existed. The case was premature. The case was not ripe for. There was no standing. What has to be done for there to be standing than to complete an election and cheat?
Wouldn't the courts be curious a little bit?
No, of course not. They didn't want to get involved.
Right.
They didn't want to get involved. And the state legislatures, man, did they get scared. So nobody ever looked into it. They hid votes. They wouldn't show votes. They're still, in Georgia, they're still refusing to show one single piece of paper. You know why? I'm going to show you one reason why, because it looks just like that. That cannot be a mail-in ballot. Because a mail-in ballot has to look like this. Has to look like this. Has to go in an envelope. You see what this is? This is one you put down, and then you have a machine. They must have had this idea of these automatic signatures even back then.
Right.
We didn't know they could do it for votes. They did it for presidency, but they did it. And so you go like this, boom, boom, boom. Did it ever occur that there were like 100,000 votes that voted only for Biden? Right. What happened to all these other people? The local judge who was crooked, and the local sheriff, and the local this one, and the local one who was going to steal all the welfare money, which the Democrats have everywhere. And what happened to all those people? They didn't get any votes.
You're bringing me back. I
just old Biden on the top. Now, why didn't they show it to us? I'm going to show you why they didn't show it to us.
And look, as the mayor's, there he is.
Because it didn't have one of these. It had one of these. And you can tell the difference between one and the other. You can also tell the difference between different paper. Here's the paper that comes from the state. They ordered it all from one or two stationers. Here's the ship paper they were using. And you can tell the difference. Therefore, in the state of Georgia, which is so crooked, it would make you cry, they would never produce one single piece of paper for analysis. And the governor and the secretary of state, both Republicans, but don't let that fool you, both are Republicans, fought to the death to never give up the paper. Now, 5 years later, they're still refusing to give up the paper to the FBI. They're gonna die. They're gonna die before they give it up. And I was the lawyer in the Georgia one, and I mean, the minute they started fighting not to show it to us, I knew for sure it was fixed. I knew it was fixed anyway for 10 other reasons. Because I want you to think of this. I'm a very honest person, and I was a very honest public official. Why shouldn't I say that? I was, and I'm proud of it.
You the most
Okay,
honest.
and I was. I mean, it kind of makes me unusual, but
Very
okay.
much so.
It probably caused you a lot of trouble too.
It sure did.
To this day.
It cost me millions of dollars, and almost
It's
cost me everything.
it's
Almost
expensive
cost
to
me
be
my
honest.
grandfather's watch,
Yeah.
which I finally
gosh.
got back.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
almost cost me everything. Everything of material worth cost me nothing in terms of integrity. Nothing. And I'm proud of it. But they wouldn't show us the paper. Now, if I were running that election and they were saying Giuliani was the governor or the mayor and it was a crooked election, and I knew, like these two bums asserted but I knew that it was, and I knew it was. I give you can look at all the paper you want. Just make sure I have security control over it. I'll have my agents there. You come in, which is what we're fine with. You can have all the agents in the world there. You can have cameras. Please bring in all the cameras. Let's do what we did with the chads and the pads and the whoops. And I show you the paper. I say, look. And then maybe a couple of mistakes would come out. And I say, of course, there are going to be a couple of mistakes, but not 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 60. There are now 300 plus thousand votes in Georgia that were never certified, which means they can't possibly have been mail-in ballots, because the mail-in ballots all get certified when they are received. So these just got slipped in. And there are 300 and something other that are gone. In other words, burned. That's over 600,000 votes in a state that Biden won by 11,000. Oh, and almost all of them come from the Democrat parts of the state. They weren't burning votes in the Republican part of the state.
Oh, that must be a coincidence also.
Yeah. And now I can go through all the rest of them with you. But that's why we need the SAVE Act. We need the SAVE Act to save our democracy. We need the SAVE Act so we don't become like Venezuela. Oh, that a lot of the system that we got for doing this came from Venezuela.
Right.
So there's only one reason in the world you don't want people to identify themselves as voting players.
And what could that possibly be?
Too cheap.
Oh,
But here's the big one. We could, we could, but now, now I'm really shocked at the following. I always thought that if we could do away with the the 60 vote rule.
Well,
We could pass it with 51 votes.
that's the other thing the Democrats don't want to do.
We don't want to do that.
Now,
I don't wanna be
you're
that.
wrong. You're wrong because they're going to double cross us the first chance they get.
I think they definitely will.
The
I think
first chance they get, immediately they get into office, first thing they're going to do is pack the court.
they are on a crash and burn campaign.
The first thing that Schumer, Plumer, or whoever succeeds him will do is they will vote 51 to whatever they need to vote. They will vote to do away with the rule, and they will put 20 members on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And they'll admit Puerto Rico and whatever other Democratic state they can admit so that they take over the Senate. It's going to happen like that.
I think so.
Now, why would you not think so? They're complete cheaters. They're completely dishonest. The rule was made between political parties that had some integrity. And both recognized that to protect the other minority, you should have 60 votes to pass something important. So Republicans upheld that because they were honorable, and Democrats upheld it because they were honorable. They are not honorable anymore.
We are in the
They
11th.
are thoroughly dishonest. Why do we think they're going to uphold it?
We are in the 11th hour of a revolution. These people will do anything. They will do anything, I think, to win. This is not normal now.
Rob is absolutely right. They will do anything. Yeah. Yeah. And when we say anything, we mean anything.
Yep.
I mean, if you can pay $1.1 million to create a completely phony story and perpetuate it for 2.5 years, including to remove a legally elected president of the United States by crimes.
Yeah.
Then why the hell would you keep your word on a 60 vote thing when you get a chance to ruin the Supreme Court, ruin everything Trump has done,
Right.
take control of the Senate forever?
Right. So, look, they talked about doing this before. The Democrats did.
They almost did it.
They almost
did it under Biden.
Here's why I think it'll be tough, even if the Democrats take over. The Senate is different than the House, right? Because I agree, the House is like those Democrats. All we would need is a couple Democrats in the Senate to.
You don't have a couple of
And
Democrats.
you won't even get them.
You don't have a couple of Democrats except one that'll vote for voter ID.
Right. So
I mean,
that's
how
I'm
can
thinking
you vote-
Fetterman,
And so don't go beyond Fetterman.
Angus King.
He won't vote for voter ID.
Somebody will convince
He
them.
won't vote for voter ID.
I see the concern. I know you guys are laughing at me.
No, I'm not.
A
laughing.
little
We're all
bit.
laughing at you for being naive.
Yeah.
No,
We're
but-
laughing at you for being naive. I would have felt this way a couple of years ago too. But there is no reason in the world that they won't do it. This would be easy for them to do. They've done things much more dishonest and much more dishonorable and much more criminal.
Well,
They
and
are an evil political party. Please don't look at me like I'm crazy. I'm warning you.
yes,
They're evil.
yes, they are.
They're not just screwed up or wrong on policy. They have been in the past, and we have in the past. And they don't have just some corruption. We've had that. We still have it. They are thoroughly to the core corrupt.
And all you had to do was watch that State of the Union address, and you saw them melting into the floor like the Wicked Witch of the West. They were disgusting, filthy animals with guilt written all over their faces, and everybody knows it.
And that's an understatement.
Now, I was the concern that they would take it back and then make their power so solid that it would be hard for us to then
Yes.
take the Senate back in 2 years.
Suppose you did suppose you made a Puerto Rico a state right now. That way they had 2 votes, be 52 votes, and 2 of them be Democrat. So we're 53-47, right? So then we'd be 53-49. Now, who else could you make a state?
Who else could?
Who else could you make a state?
What other? Are you on our side or the Democrats?
No, Democrat side.
who would block a full filibuster?
No,
The full-
no. I'm talking about how they get permanent control of this.
who else should we
of
get
the
states? So
Senate.
DC, District of Columbia,
Yeah, make District of Columbia. Now we've gone from 53
Puerto Rico, you said, right?
to 53, 51. Puerto Rico and DC. Give me one more state, and now we're tied. And if they have the presidency, they run things.
Is the U.S. Virgin Islands one of them?
Yeah, okay. Virgin
I'm naming
Islands,
one, right? I don't know.
53, 53. Now you're 53, 53, assuming they don't pick up any states anywhere else. And if they win the presidency with the vice president, they control the Senate. And they can impeach any Republican they want. No, they can't. You still have to get a 2/3 vote to impeach.
Right.
But they can, if they had control of the House and the Senate, and they did away with the 60-vote rule, they can appoint additional. I don't know why this can be done. I mean, I do know why, but I think this is probably a mistake. I don't know why you can change the Supreme Court number is not set in the Constitution. Congress sets the number at 9, and they can make it 20. They can make it 50.
How do we think that would play over politically with the people?
It might not play well. It might play well. I don't know. It depends on what happens to our people. Are they going in the Mandani direction?
They are.
Certainly
and
appear to be.
they'll have the
And they have the media.
they'll have the media.
You've got the insane media on your side.
If it was us trying to do it, they would put up all these.
Yeah, I mean,
danger.
They approve everything they do.
Yes.
Every time I turn around, I'm beside myself.
My only hope is that if they were to do this,
They would be destroyed, but nothing destroys them. I thought they were going to get destroyed over all the crap they did to Trump.
Absolutely.
the question
Absolutely.
is it, and you understand this more than maybe anybody, Mayor, is it a important enough safeguard to protect the minority
No,
where we as a party need to stay strong on this? I totally get the president's position.
No,
Look, he's
no.
president for 3
it
more
only
years.
works.
Right?
It only works if there's some degree of integrity on both sides.
I couldn't agree more.
The minute one side is a scoundrel, it doesn't work any longer.
And if they've not done enough to prove
Because
that they have no integrity,
They have to maintain it. They have to maintain it when they are in power, and we have to maintain it when we are in power. There is nothing at all that says to me they're going to maintain it when they're in power. They've done things that are much worse than this. Much, much worse. Much more dishonest. Much more dishonorable.
Right.
like just about everything they did.
This has always been one in which, it makes sense, but in some ways it doesn't. It's not democratic.
Right.
In some ways, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it depends on how you interpret it. So I don't see why in fact, I think we should do a lot more things. If we're going to overturn it, let's do everything. Let's get rid of Obamacare. Poof, finally.
Right.
Do you know how much more Obamacare cost than we thought? The entire bankruptcy, financial, of our medical system is completely the Affordable Care Act. It's way out of control. It doesn't cost 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. It costs like 30 times what they thought it would cost. And it's just going up. And that's where they do all the cheating in the Affordable Care Act. People are getting covered 3 and 4 times. People are getting covered who aren't alive. People are getting covered who are still dead. People are getting covered who don't exist. And the amount of cheating that the Democrats have done on the welfare state is insane. And so have Republicans, by the way. Now, we follow their lead, but you go to a Republican state, you've got almost as much fraud in the welfare programs as you do Democrats. Here's where we're different. We're different on crime. You go to a Republican state, you're going to have a tough on crime approach, whereas a Democrat state, you're going to have plenty of crime. We're very different on economics. I mean, they just did an analysis. I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. Every single Republican state has lowered or is in the process of, well, first of all, every single Republican state has lowered taxes. Every state that is considering doing away with income taxes is a Republican state. Every state that has raised taxes is a Democratic state.
Right.
Democratic states are losing population in numbers that are
That the media won't report.
Epic.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah.
And they're leaving New York, New Jersey, California. Every year it's a contest. Which one wins?
Yeah. I think New York is winning right now.
And they're going to not just Republic, they're going to tax states, tax states that are more amenable in terms of cost of living, taxes. So, I mean, that's our major hope, that people vote with their feet, even when they're cheated out of being able to vote with their vote in the right way. So we will have to see.
Right.
We'll have to see. But I do think this is the die is cast here. We're not going to change the filibuster rule, even slightly. We're going to lose the SAVE Act. They're going to be able to cheat like hell where they can. Where they can. Not every state, because the states control ultimately the elections. So they're going to be able to bring in all these 20 million, 30 million that they brought in that have made us the human trafficking capital of the world, the fentanyl capital of the world. They're going to be able to use them to vote, change the census, all sorts of things. Let me take a moment to do a shout out to the Las Vegas police, who have refused to cut a criminal loose that the judge has required them to do. They're challenging the authority of Justice Eric Goodman over the fate of Joshua Sanchez Lopez, a 36-year-old repeat felon whose prior records include manslaughter, drugs, and car theft. Goodman wants the animal released with an ankle monitor, but cops said he's too dangerous to cut loose. We have to take a look at that and say, is this somebody who our electronic supervision program can monitor safely? Said the Assistant General Counsel for Metro Police. And we cannot. This is an issue of public safety. And he said the department could be cited for contempt. Cite him. Take it up, and let's see if we can get an honest judge. I'm sure the guys, I would be willing to bet whatever they left me with, the guy's a Democrat. They love criminals. The things they have passed to help criminals are, Andrew Cuomo passed a law in 2019 that has now resulted in 47 cop killers being let out of prison, let out of life sentences, so they can walk the street and help to train Black Lives Matter on how to kill cops.
Yep.
And that's only one bail. There are, and the number has to have gone up. This would be about 3 years old, but I could pretty much estimate there were 500,000 to 700,000 people walking the streets of New York that would be in jail if I were the mayor. It's probably about 9 now. Who do you think is throwing people on the subway? The people they don't put in the nut houses,
Right.
that are all empty. The nut houses are empty and the streets are filled with the nuts.
Right.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, they had announced, was assassinated. So he put a posting on X. He says, they say I'm what? I think coffee is to die for. I think my nation is to die for, but I'm not dead. I think coffee is to die for too, but I have to send Bibi some
Rudy's coffee
because it's the best, right? Isn't it the best?
Absolutely.
Do you know that the entire women's soccer team has now gone back to Iran? Isn't that tragic?
Right. I'm just covering that now. It's crazy.
Poor things. And then the Democrats want to say there's no reason to take out the Iranian regime. You know how many Americans? I mean, these are Iranians, granted. But you know how many Americans they've killed with the IEDs and all over the years, how much damage the Marines they killed, and how many they will in the future. I mean, but all those poor girls who did so much to try to escape and have freedom for themselves are now back in Iran, and who knows what they're going to do to them. I mean, let's not even speculate.
Oh, it's a sick.
So Tucker Carlson is under investigation for violating FAR. He says. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going
And I'm not going to speculate a lot on this. I'm going to do some research first. I don't know what's happened to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, we know something did.
I want your thoughts on what you
I
got to read more. You got to catch up on it.
I don't have any idea what he's doing. I mean, it began when I analyzed his interview of Fuentes, and I did an entire
Check it out. It's
2 to 3 part piece on it, which you can get if you just subscribe.
Right.
And I think it's the best analysis that was done. I think Piers Morgan did a great job in interviewing Fuentes, but that's rather short and it only covers a few aspects of it, but rips them apart and asks some of the questions that Tucker did not ask. But the big suspicion to me was, when I went through this, why would Tucker Carlson, who I always assume was an opinionated guy, but a very honest and honorable guy, why would he not ask him the obvious questions? How do you get a chance to interview this guy and not ask him? For example, when he brings it up, he says in the middle of the interview, "I love Lenin." Whoop! Now wait a second. Here's a guy who loves Hitler. We could do plenty on that.
Right.
But he loves Lenin too. And then you say, and Tucker was surprised by that. Shouldn't have been, because he had said that about 5 times before.
Right.
And he says, we'll circle back to it. And he's still circling. Never came back to it, which tells me it's a dishonest interview. You don't really want to find out about this guy. Because I'd want to know, what the hell's he talking about when he says he loves Lenin? What is he, a complete fascist, communist, and authoritarian? Or a stupid idiot jackass who shouldn't be paid attention to? And then he goes through this whole analysis of Christianity, Christian theology, which is dead wrong, intellectually dishonest, and never has answered for it.
Right.
So I said, there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong in his presenting this guy in such a heroic light, or at least in a light in which the obvious questions aren't asked, so the American people can make a decision about him. He did everything he could to help this guy. Basically put him on his lap and was patting him on the head.
Gave him a platform.
Yeah, and then the guy made incredibly insane statements about women. Incredible.
Yeah.
Insane. Which he did the best that he could to help him with. Piers Morgan finally asked him, because he would say such crazy things, "Did you ever have sex?" He's 27. He said, "No." No. So I don't know what's going on with Tucker Carlson. It seems like his attacks on Israel go beyond public policy. It seems that way. And it seems like they get into the area of hatred or contrived hatred. It is a legitimate question. So there is an investigation that he's being paid by foreign governments for the positions that he takes. Don't know that I have no idea if that's true or not, and would find that extraordinarily surprising. But some of them have gone far enough now where you got to take a hell of a look at it, and at this point put on hold trusting anything they say until there's a chance to really take a look at it, because they've gone way beyond. And that would include Candace,
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
It's the Candace Owens disease.
Candace Owens, who, I don't know, maybe worse in many ways.
Do you think that,
and maybe even Megyn Kelly?
do you think that they were expecting? Do you think
There's something wrong? I mean, there's something. I told you the Democrat Party a long time ago, I could feel there was something wrong.
Yeah.
There's something wrong here.
Do you think they were expecting?
This isn't honest.
Right.
What's going on here is not coming out. There's something going on here. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
You got to figure it out. And you're right, Mayor. And we know Tucker very well. You've known him for years. I literally interviewed and got a job with him when Trump announced he was running for president. And I felt the media, I was in a whole different world. And the media was missing it. And I went and talked to Tucker. I met with Tucker. And I said, this guy might win. He could win. And Tucker's like, he hired me on the spot. And where am I going with this? The point being, we both know Tucker in different capacities, being close to him in different ways. And this is, it's baffling. I agree with you. It's baffling. It's unfortunate. There's something going on. And I'm right with you on trying to figure it out and trying to be fair.
I think it's important. I think it's important to look at beyond personal because it's affecting. I also mentioned Candace that I mentioned,
Tucker.
Megyn Kelly.
Oh, Megyn Kelly.
It's affecting the integrity and the unity of our political movement, which is so important to preserving liberty and freedom in this country. And what appears to be a hatred of Israel.
Yeah, what is that?
It's our only ally. Look what UK just did to us. I don't get it.
Right.
I always wondered, do you think that they expected to get more of a platform from this admin? And because they didn't, now they have some kind of knee-jerk reaction. They're not being recognized enough by the Trump administration.
No.
I'm just being silly, you know?
No, I don't think they're. I mean, the explanation some people will give, and those who are being more generous, is they're doing it for ratings.
Yeah.
They're doing it for just pure ratings and don't really give a damn about the truth or falsity of it.
Which is like one and the same.
Others go further and say, like this group that's investigating, they say it's being done for ulterior motives. We'll have to see.
Right.
I never buy into anything like that until I see the proof of it.
Right.
If you tell me there are reasons to investigate, I agree with you. There are.
Then what the hell else could it possibly be then?
Well, you never know. Life is very strange, and there's always every once in a while we find a reason and we say, "Gee, why didn't we think of that?" So let's.
And somehow Charlie Kirk gets into the mix of that.
Well, what they're doing to Charlie's memory and to his widow is just completely unforgivable.
Tarnishing him.
It's just unforgivable without any proof. I mean, first of all, I'm not going to believe that stuff unless you prove it to me. But stop it. I mean, it's like we have the National Enquirer now, all over the place.
Yeah, they're giving the Democrats actually a platform.
And I mean, if you can't give this poor woman a chance to grieve in the way that she does, and say, "Oh, she's strange," because she grieves in a different way than you do, or I mean, not me. I'm talking about them. If you can't do that and realize a husband got his head blown up right on national television,
right?
You can't give her a little leeway and a break. I mean, come on.
How about a little time? Yeah.
And time. We're not even a year.
Right.
You know, we're not.
That just goes to show you there's something nefarious about it.
So don't give me this. This is one thing you'll see in my podcast. Don't give me this Christian stuff, you guys. I'm sorry, you Fuentes and even Tucker. Don't give me this Christian stuff. I kind of ripped that apart. Okay.
Wow.
Colombia's got a race for president that's very scary. It's very scary because Colombia is a country that I know a lot about. It's a country I worked in probably more than most. It's one in which Alvaro Uribe is one of the major national heroes of Colombia because he wiped out the FARC, he wiped out the cartels, and a lot of his good work has been reversed. They presently have a president that's a total, I don't know if he's a communist or a crook but he's brought the country Gustavo Petro. Guy is terrible and constantly goes against Trump. And it's not even a match. And then Trump slaps him in the face and he does whatever Trump wants. So originally he wasn't going to take anybody back, any of the illegals back from Colombia. Then Trump said, well, that's good. We're not going to trade with Colombia. And then he sent planes to take them back. And he's taking everybody back. And there's another thing he did. He wasn't going to do it. And then Trump said, if you do that, we're going to put 100% tariff on you. He caved in like that. But he's either a communist or I know he's one of these people that got into government because a terrible mistake was made when they defeated the FARC and they did their peace treaty. And then they had to work on whether the FARC could get back into government at any time. And the people were against it. And the president at the time was for it, who I liked. He was a good president, but I think he was wrong about this. And he put a leeway in so these people could get back in. And this piece of shit got back in. And now there's an election going on. And the CD, the Democratic Center Party, which is Uribe's party. That's the patriotic party. That's the conservative party. That's the party that straightened out Colombia, and it's the party that I work with for seven years. Senator Paloma Valencia won 55% of the vote in the presidential primary. So she won 55% of the right-wing party, which was very, very divided, including some people I know even better and maybe would have supported at least one for sure, the former ambassador, who I think would just make an incredible president. But she's terrific. Now you say, well, she won 55% of the center-right party, a party that governed Colombia through its most difficult days. The party that won the battle over the FARC, which was the revolutionary group, won the battle over the cartels, which were even stronger. You'd say, well, she's going to get elected, right? They've got a left right now, the left-wing candidate, who is let me get this straight. There is another right-wing candidate, and the other right-wing candidate is not as good as her, but because he's in the race, he may lead to the election of the candidate who is picked by Petro, who is the communist crook that's running the country right now. So we're going to cover this more carefully, because it's important. It's important because we are very quietly and without all the fanfare that a lot of the other stuff gets. And this is going to be one of the president and Marco's great contributions. We're changing Latin America. For the first time, an American president is really paying attention to Latin America. For the first time, and I've been in favor of this for 50 years. I remember when when I really thought, even though he was a little too left-wing in many ways, I thought there was one great advantage if Nelson Rockefeller became president. There was nobody who cared about South America as much as Nelson Rockefeller, or understood it. And I thought one of the great things that we lost in his going so far left and not being able to work things out with Goldwater, and I would love to have seen him as Secretary of State. He would have done the kinds of things that Marco is doing as Secretary of State, but he kind of wrote himself out of the party. But in any event, there are very few that have been able to carry through. I think there are many that wanted to. I think Kennedy did. I think Ford did. I think Nixon did. Nixon went off on how to solve Vietnam. Reagan for sure did, but he had to go off on fighting communism. I can't say after that, Clinton would get distracted.
I got that.
I didn't.
Bush probably also distracted. But this first term, Trump tried hard on Latin America, but he didn't have the right combination of people. Now with Marco there, it's in his heart, right? They're doing a great job, unheralded, about bringing South America, Latin America together. And they're winning a lot of victories, a lot of right-wing governments, a lot of center governments. They're knocking out the left wing. I mean, you complete the job in Venezuela and in Cuba, and wow, they're gone forever. But Colombia is important. Colombia is a big country, and Colombia is an important country, and Brazil is important, where they have tragically, they have Bolsonaro in jail, and that is that's a desecration. But we finally have a president who cares about it, and sometimes the president can care, but if he doesn't have the structure, then other things, pull him away. But here with Marco, he's got the structure. So I expect big things in South America. But this Colombia election is very, very important. And the election is on May 31st. So this is an early election. The primary was on March 8th. And the biggest vote getter in the primary was Paloma Valencia of the solid right wing party. But in all the other candidates they could overturn this. So let's take a good look at it, and maybe we can get a few people on that'll explain it to you. This is more important to you than you think, because if we can solidify this hemisphere behind us in a way that it never has before, and we could get rid of the half-wit moron, crazy, stupid idiot in Canada, and let the Canadian people really express their spirit, which is fabulous, by the way. I mean, they've been governed by maybe one of the biggest idiots on the planet before, and this guy is completely lost, just completely lost. Did you like that? Does that describe a left winger?
Basically.
Well, you should know that crime is down basically in America. That's what happens when you have a law and order president. Now, there are specific reasons for it. There are all kinds of reasons. There's a big analysis done in a report as to all of the reasons why. I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why. Because you got a president who's a tough son of a bitch. That's why. On criminals. And a kind man who cares about life. And stop it with all the garbage about him. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal trying to figure out every reason why crime is down other than Trump. I know he has the same attitude that I have about it, which is who gives a damn about them. When you look in the mirror and you figure it out. So let me bring up two very serious topics. First of all, Susie Wiles, who's done such a great job for the president way, way back. I have been through a lot with Susie. She may or may not remember. Back in Florida and whatever. But in any event, Susie is one of the big reasons he's president. And given the results of this administration and this presidency, the chief of staff has got to get a lot of the credit. It turns out that Susie has cancer. But it's according to Kara, who I spoke to earlier on my show before, and we'll call Susie, and as a cancer survivor myself, maybe I can give her a little encouragement and optimism, but I don't know if she needs it. She looked awful good today, sitting next to the president. And her father be so proud of her, Pat Summerall, who was an end for the New York Giants, and also one of their legendary best place kickers, who kicked a winning field goal that brought them into the NFL championship on a field that was so snow covered, they don't know how long the field goal was. It could have been 58 yards. It could have been really the first 60-yard kick. It could have been. It could have been like 62,
We're gonna give it to
63.
him.
No. You couldn't tell. The Yankee Stadium sidelines were so full with snow. It was against the Cleveland Browns when they had Jimmy Brown, and the Giants and the Browns were perennial. I think we went on to lose to the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I'm bringing up a.
I'm hitting him because he's a Green Bay Packer fan. I didn't hit him. I just threw something at him.
But who is our
And
biggest
you know what's going
hero?
to happen now? They're going to want to take me off because
Our biggest hero in Packer history is an Italian New Yorker.
Well, you can't. You see, I can't get all that upset when you say
Right.
Vince Lombardi. Hey, Vince.
That's
Roman Catholic daily mass.
yeah. They say that he used to go to mass every day, and
Wow.
they'd go to mass. He went to mass every day, and the
You
priest
know,
would look-
you were just looking at Frank Gifford.
yeah.
Huh.
This is the game that you were referring to, and
Yeah, that's the kick.
he made it, but they didn't know where it was.
So I don't know. Go back to the kick itself. Let's see if we can. How can we figure it out when nobody else has been able to figure it out?
So they just don't know where he's.
Yeah, you see all the snow on the side. They couldn't, and it wasn't like football now where they have the lines and this
They,
and that.
they
and
got
the other thing.
computers watching everything.
That's Pat Summerall. That's Susie's dad.
Susie Arnold's father.
Susie, your dad was one hell of a kicker. I'll tell you that. He was one hell of an announcer too. One of the very best ever in the history of football because he was so smart.
He was, and I actually knew of.
You
Pat
knew him
Summerall.
as an announcer. I knew him as a player.
Well,
Before at the time that he's doing this, he was also. They played numerous positions. He was also like a tight end as well.
mhm.
And he caught a lot of Charlie Connolly's passes. Then place kicking became so important, right?
Mhm.
That they isolated him. They isolated him as a. Oh, you're showing some. Oh, you can't. I'll stay on all night watching those.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just got some old.
That's Jimmy Brown.
Yeah, it's all from the same game.
That's Jimmy Brown, and that was Sam Huff, who used to contain Jimmy Brown. But you know what it meant to contain Jimmy Brown? He held him to 100 yards. Okay, you see that? 16-35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's Pat Summerall. That pass was engineered by your friend Lombardi for Frank's Gifford. That he then did for Horning at Green Bay and turned Horning into one of the greatest players ever.
Paul Horning.
It's called the option pass. We don't use it anymore. It's done by there's Pat. That's Pat Summerall again. I loved him. Sorry.
Oh, Pat Summerall's a man. Well, let's get just a little taste of Pat here.
I mean that kick. There it is again. Oh, look at that kick.
Here's Pat. Here's just a little short.
No, he's not an actor. He's an honest-to-God police captain. 60 Minutes. No, he's not an actor. He's an honest-to-God police captain. So honest-to-God that he risked his career to free an innocent man on death row. Then it's Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury. Followed by part one of a CBS Sunday night movie, Gone with the Wind, starring Clark Gable and Vivian Lee. All coming up tonight on CBS.
Just a little taste of his voice.
Pat Summerall was so good. He wasn't the first. There were a couple here and there on local NFL football that started doing color.
Yep.
And but he was the first on national television that really perfected the art of color. And then he moved over to play-by-play, and no one thought he could do his play-by-play. I mean, he could be the best in play-by-play.
Yep.
Because he combined like the knowledge of a color guy with play-by-play.
Yep.
and he was he had a very authoritative voice, as you heard, right? A beautiful, authoritative voice. But most of all, no bullshit. And you know how much in football's not as bad as some of the other sports. Football gets, even now, it always gets some good. There he is with his pal. The two of them loved each other.
Let's play some of this voice here.
And the coach
Some things just go together greatly.
They sure do.
And to me, there's nothing better. There's no place that I would rather be today on Thanksgiving than right here, right now at a football game. And there's just certain things that go together. You know, the turkey, the family, the tradition, football, and we have it all today.
You know, there's some things in life that just fit. And I think when you talk about football, Thanksgiving, traditional rivalries, and being there, that's a good fit.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
And
I want to get more of Pat there, but we got
now
a lot
look
of
at the
John.
way they're dressed. Look at the way they're dressed. You know,
Yeah, we'll put that. Let's get another
they're
one.
dressed so nicely, right?
Oh man, those were the
None
days.
of these slob bums.
They don't make them like
And they don't
used to.
stick them on the field like a bunch of jerk offs.
Right.
They got them in a booth where they're supposed to be.
Right. 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 Well, we could play this all
Okay,
night.
now
but
I
we better
have.
not.
Now
Yeah.
I'm good.
We better sign up.
I know. I wanted to say something about
oh, yeah.
Dr. Maria's father. You all know Dr. Maria Ryan, who's on America's Mayor Live quite a bit, on the Rudy Giuliani show quite a bit, and has her own show on TV, which is the Dr. Maria show, and she does a terrific, absolutely terrific job. But that isn't the reason I'm saying this. I'm saying this because her dad, Charles McGarrion, died today. Charles was 91 years old, and Charles was a hero. Charles was a hero. He was a veteran. He served this country for, not sure exactly, over 20 years. Valued immensely the fact that he was a veteran and served our country. Was a very, very patriotic American. He wasn't perfect. He was a Boston Red Sox and New England Patriot fan, which makes him not perfect in my view. But in the view of many of you, of course, including Dr. Ryan, made him perfect. And he was an extraordinarily good man and a wonderful man that you could have great conversations with about politics or about sport. He really understood sports, right, Ted?
We would watch sports with him.
We watched sports with him, and he would. He
knew all about the Patriots, football, baseball.
Yeah, he knew all about the Patriots. He knew all about the Yankees because there he is at a Red Sox game recently with Ted, right?
Nope, he didn't make it to the game with me. His
Oh.
son Chuck is right off screen there. Chuck and I went. You were supposed to be there with us, and Charles.
Oh,
was
that's
very,
when I got injured.
Yeah, but
I
this is
missed
the
that
previous.
because I broke
yeah.
my back.
Yeah. But Charles, he was so excited for me. It was my first trip to Fenway.
Yeah. Ted didn't want to go because it was the weekend that
Oh.
it was the weekend that I broke my back. I was in the hospital.
Oh my God!
And I said if he didn't go, I was going to beat him up.
And
As
you
soon
know
as
you
my
had to go
back,
then. Yeah.
as soon as my back was better, I was going to beat him into a pulp. If he lost his chance to go to Fenway Park. I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm a strange Yankee fan. I'm a baseball fan. I'm an absolute baseball fan. This is what my father brought me up. My father brought me up in the era in which at Yankee Stadium, if the pitcher on the other side was taken out of the game and he was pitching a good game, you applauded him.
Mm-hmm.
You applauded him for his, and you did the same thing with your pitcher. Now, if he didn't pitch a good game, you didn't boo him. You just didn't applaud. So let's say one of the great pitchers for the Red Sox now was Mel Parnell. Let's say Mel Parnell pitched 7 great innings against the Yankees. The score was 2-1. Red Sox winning. He comes out, right? He's only gave up 1 run against the great Yankees. You're at Yankee Stadium. You applaud Mel Parnell for his accomplishment. It's very different, very, very different. And so I have to tell you this also. When I started to go to Fenway Park, because nobody knew me who I was, but when I became mayor, they did know me. I always got a very respectful reception at Fenway Park, even though I was a Yankee fan. I don't know why. And this is before September 11. Since September 11, I get a great reception. So and also, same thing with the Dodgers. I was a Yankee fan against the Dodgers. Right? All those Dodger players of my youth are like heroes to me now. Whether it's Gil Hodges or Pee Wee Reese or I was going to say Yogi Berra. He was a Yankee, of course. Carl Campanella. I love this question. When did New York have two Italian-American catchers? Carl Campanella, who was also half black, and Yogi Berra. So Charles and I had wonderful conversations about politics and about sports, and he did live 91 years, which is wonderful, and all of his children were with him before he passed, which is, I don't know, can you ask for anything better than that, Charles? They were all with you. And you served our country honorably and well. God bless you, Charles McGarry. And I know you were greeted by the angels and brought to your judgment. And I don't think you needed me to represent you. I think you came out fine. So God bless Charles, and may he rest in peace. And please grant grace and understanding and love to his family. Another veteran. Right?
Yeah, I want to say sorry to Dr. Maria as well for her loss.
She's our colleague, and we love her.
And she's wonderful. She's a wonderful person.
And her family, you saw her family.
And her family,
today, huh?
yes.
Yeah, they were really all together, huh?
Yes.
That's when you have to be together.
We love you, Maria.
And this is something we all should remember. This is what we got to create for our children. We got to create this. This is what makes a great country. It starts with family, and it's what the Marxists want to destroy.
Oh, yes, they do.
They're after God, and they're after the parents. They want to take your kid away from your 2 years old, which is what they're trying to do with universal pre-K education. Watch it. You could easily be fooled. A long time ago, I was too. I thought, oh, this is nice. Give them education. They don't want to educate them. They want to brainwash them. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night. We can't wait. It'll be St. Patrick's night. We'll cover St. Patrick's Day, and we'll cover everything else. We're going to see what our great president does. Every day he does something really magnificent. Let's pray for him tonight. Let's pray for him. Let's pray for all the people in harm's way, right? There are a lot of them. And we're going to miss some, but we're going to get the critical ones. We're going to get the ones in Ukraine and all of those people in Israel who are still under attack, and the people in Iran who need to be free, both the Persians and the minorities, all of them. We don't have things like minorities and Persians and all this other stuff. They're all people. And pray for the people of Venezuela, Cuba, the great Cubans, the Jewish people beyond Israel, because they're attacking them all over. Outrageous. And pray for the President of the United States, who's bearing this entire burden so well. But he knows this, so he needs your help. You've given him tremendous help. I know you have. But this is a big, big task, and it's got to get done right now because we don't know what's going to happen. And I saw that in him when he said, I got to get this done because I don't know what's going to happen. I almost cried when I heard that because I've been feeling that for a long time, and I was so glad that he said that. So pray for President Donald J. Trump. He may very well turn out to be our greatest president. I know they won't accept it, but who cares? You decide that, not them. God bless America.
pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must bide. And take ye with my memory ever smiling, untrodden path I'll tarry by your side. And though you leave behind a silver lining, it's you must go and I must but come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when ye come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead as dead I will maybe, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve